All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with the slate starter MLB style for our second day. This is for Friday, April 2nd. We, of course, are brought to you by MonkeyKnifeFight, home of the 5,000 home run derby. That's the $5,000 home run derby. That's going to happen every single Friday of the 2020 MLB season. All you have to do is pick 3 players who hit a home run, and you could win part of that $5,000 prize pool. If nobody wins, then that $5,000 rolls over into next Friday's derby. So stop what you're doing. Head on over there to monkeyknifefight.com right now and enter. You'll see it right there on the homepage. Better yet, if you have not yet signed up, use the promo code Awesemo. That's Awesemo, and you will get a $50 deposit match. Step up to the plate and sign up with Monkey Knife Fight today. We are again joined by Harish Goud. We're having some fun here, a little pre-show chatter talking about the main slate for opening day. We're recording this just before the late slate is getting started, and lamenting some of our pitchers, some of the unexpected home runs. That's baseball. That's baseball. Harish, what happened here? You were all excited and happy, and then which game crushed your hopes and dreams for today?
I was looking so good until that Texas game just went bonkers. It was like 10-14. I had like few good lineups in top 50 in that big GPP, and then all of a sudden, crashed.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's the exciting and the hard thing to remember when we transition from NBA scoring, because we're used to just seeing the score go up all night, to baseball. You're never quite out of it as long as you have a player left. Maybe they hit a home run, maybe they hit 2, and you can rocket up the leaderboard, but you're also never quite safe because someone is always lurking somewhere. But we're on and heading to our Friday slate. This one going to be a little more relaxed. It's a little different setup. We have 6 games this Friday. A lot of the teams have that played yesterday had the day off today. Basically, this was a built-in makeup game for anybody that was going to be dealing with rain or weather. So we know that the Washington Nationals and New York Mets game, that was postponed for some positive COVID tests on the Nationals team. They're not replaying that game on Friday. That will make it up at another point in the season. But that's sort of what some of these buffers were for. And then some of the other teams had a built-in buffer on Saturday as well. So just to kind of set the stage there, it's a unique spot that we're in to just have 6 games on our second day. Now, the other nice thing about this is the first game is going to be starting at 7:10. The next one doesn't start until 8:40. And that's going to be the Colorado-Los Angeles game. So if you want to try to play MLB, it's not going to be that much of an issue at all on Friday night. NBA along with MLB. The NBA locks at 7. NHL also locks at 7, but the second NHL game doesn't start until 8 o'clock. So we're going to be able to juggle everything, which is nice. As we get further into the season, probably not so much, but at least we get a little bit of a gimme. You going to still play multiple sports tomorrow, Harish?
Mostly baseball, not basketball, though.
All right. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I will be playing all the sports. No slates off, as I like to say. All right, let's move along in here. Oh, the other thing I do want to remember, we do have a promo code starting9. That's starting with the number 9, and that will get you 9 days of all-access Awesemo Premium Baseball for 9 days for $9. That promo code will expire on April 9th, but that is probably one of the best deals that you're going to get for our MLB product. If you have not come behind the paywall, it's just $1 a day, and you're going to get about a week and a half worth of content. Well worth it. We have the starting pitchers stacks tool. We have the hitters stacks tool. We have player projections, player ownership projections, and much, much more. And that also gets you access to the Awesemo Premium Slack channel for all sports, not just MLB. Okay, let's look at our games here. No, I said this yesterday too. No weather precipitation issues at this time. We have a couple games that are going to be a little colder than normal. I will call those out when we get to them. But today, since we have a little bit more time, we're going to go game by game here. Our first game is going to be Tampa Bay at Miami. We had some nice pitching performances in opening day there. Today, we have Ryan Yarbrough going against Miami. Miami has a 3.7 implied run total, And then on the other side, we have right-hander Pablo Lopez going against Tampa Bay, who has a 3.9 implied run total. We want to remember that this is in a National League park. There is no universal DH, and the roof may actually be open in Miami, depending on the weather. That's something that's always a little bit different. It's not particularly hot and humid at this point in the year, so that shouldn't impact the game that much, but I did want to point that out. Take it away, Harish. What do you like from our pair of hurlers? Can they channel their counterparts from opening day and get us some fantasy points here?
So if you're saying the roof will be open, what do you think about the wind blowing in that stadium? Is it a factor?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. And here's the other thing that's interesting about the roof in Miami. They have the worst reporting on if it's open or not. Arizona has the best by far. Like, they plan it out multiple days in advance. They do it for the whole homestand, and they have a site on MLB.com that you can go to, and it gives you the roof status. Houston, pretty good as well. They generally, it's easy to find. Miami, if you go to MLB.com, they send you to a Twitter account that tweets about twice a year and has nothing to do with the roof, even though it says something about Miami's roof. So I always just say, you know what, it's probably going to be closed. That's the safe default position in the summer, because it's usually hot and humid there, and that's just kind of miserable. Because it's spring and because the pandemic, it wouldn't shock me if it's open. I don't even know if we have enough data to support one way or the other, because the roof is open so infrequently. But because we're talking about the Miami roof, before I turn this back over to you, they did not close the roof in time one time and caused themselves a rainout.
Maybe that's a close news to watch out, because I'm looking at the weather, right? So in the stadium, the wind's going to be blowing in at 21 miles per hour. So something to watch out, I guess, if the roof is open. But from the pitcher's perspective, Pablo Lopez, he's good against righties, but he'll struggle. He's struggling, like looking at the 2019 and 2020 numbers. He struggles against the lefties. He gives a lot of hard contact. He has a lot of high fly ball rate for lefties. But we've seen the Tampa Bay game today, so I think the bats have not heated up yet. Maybe I'll pick my one-offs, like lefties from the Tampa Bay for tomorrow. But unless if you're playing cash games, then definitely I'm not going the Tampa Bay route for stacking. GPP, yeah, they may be an option.
Yeah, and the lefties that we have there would be Sasugo. He'll probably lead off. Austin Meadows, who kind of had a lost year last year, he still has a decent power. Brandon Lau is in there with above a 220 ISO. Kevin Kiermaier will probably be in as the lefty, and then it's day 2, so it wouldn't shock me if Mike Zunino's in again behind the plate, since he'll have a full day between games here. He has power against pitchers of both handedness. He's a righty, and then Randy Arozarena has an unsustainable 400 isolated power against righties. However, just 107 at bats. Hopefully he carries on some of his postseason heroics from last year, but we've seen people wilt in the face of anything. Any concerns about Yarbrough? They've sort of had him as the long reliever from time to time. Occasionally, last year even they would put because it's Tampa Bay, they just put an opener in front of a lot of their pitchers just to go through the top 4 or so hitters in the order. Do you think we'll see any of that today, or do you think they'll just turn Yarbrough loose?
That definitely worries me, and he's 8,300, and we have a lot of other options less than that salary. So probably I'm not going to go that route, and probably I'll look for other options.
All right. Well, other options, at least from the hitting side, are going to come here in our next game. We have the Los Angeles Dodgers for Game 2 in Coors Field. This one is going to be an interesting one. We have Trevor Bauer making his first start for the boys in blue. The Colorado Rockies have a 4.4 implied run total. I hope you're all sitting down. This game has nearly a 12 implied run total for both teams combined, because yes, it's right-hander Antonio Senzatella taking the mound. The Dodgers, a 7.3 implied run total. I think everybody's going to want to play the Dodgers bats. Do you have some Dodgers bats you like, perhaps? Because I don't think we want to go with Senzatella. And then what do you think about Bauer? I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. A little bit crazy, but I think we need a little bit crazy if you're going to challenge anybody in Coors Field.
For sure. And I think he should be a best option, like if you're paying up for any pitcher, even though it's Coors, it's Bar, he's going to pitch over 100 pitches easily. And then we have a lot of bats in this Rockies team who's going to get strikeout. So Bar should be a very good option even for GPP and also for the cash games.
The interesting thing about the Rockies that a lot of people kind of have, I don't want to say have forgotten, but it may have slipped back of mind. Obviously, no more DJ LeMahieu. He is now in the Bronx. No more Nolan Arenado. He is off in St. Louis. And then David Dahl is in Texas. So we're really down to Trevor Story, Chuck Nasty, Blackman, Charlie Blackman, and he is, getting another year older. He's not broken down by any stretch at this point, but another year under his belt. It's not quite the fierce hitting lineup that it is. Of course, they are going to be above average at home because of Coors Field. But does anybody in particular scare you against a pitcher of Bauer's caliber?
No, definitely not. He may give away 1 or 2 home runs, but I think I can eat that. If he's going to give me like 9 or 10 strikeouts, I think I'm good.
And that's the one thing. There are some strikeouts here floating around in the Colorado lineup, just depending on who's projected. Their lineup can fall off really quickly. We have CJ Cron generally. He's sort of replacing Arenado. He's playing first base, but they got him. Oh, and Ian Desmond had us opted out again for this season for health reasons. So they're really short on people. So we've got Chris Owings is with the team now. Garrett Hampson is around there. Ramiel Tapia. Nobody overly terrifying at this point. So it'll be interesting. Perhaps we will get ahead of the crowd and be going against the Coors Field guys. Now, remember, it's cooler there, and it's not the hot summer action that we see in Coors Field where, the ball boys hitting them into the upper deck. So just keep that in mind as we kind of wander our way through our various games. Moving on to game number 3 here. This one is Dallas Keuchel. This is Chicago at Los Angeles. Andrew Heaney, another southpaw, will be pitching for California. The Angels have a 4.5 run implied total going against Dallas. The Chicago White Sox have a 4.1 implied run total going against the Halos. What do you like from either of these lefties? Again, we only have a dozen pitchers. We already have said hell no to Senzatella. Do you like one of these guys on your short list?
Maybe for GPP, but I think I'll be avoiding both of them in the cash games. The reason being, like we know, White Sox crushes any lefty pitchers, and this team ISO is so good. So I'm scared to play Heaney in this matchup. But if I'm playing a stack, then I'll probably take the White Sox here over Heaney.
Is there any, looking at the White Sox first, obviously Jose Abreu is the first that comes to mind. Eloy Jimenez is injured, so there's a chance he could miss a large portion, if not all of the season. That's kind of unfortunate, but they still have, let me get my filters right. They have the return of Adam Eaton. Now, that'll be a lefty-lefty matchup. He will tend to play against lefties, especially if they have injuries. He may slide down out of the number 2 hole, but he's someone that they've got back after he had a few years with the Nationals. They've got Yohan Moncada there, who is decent power, nothing eye-popping, but decent power against lefties. They have, of course, Yasmani Grandal, one of the best switch-hitting catchers in the game. Phenomenal from both sides of the plate. He has really improved over the last 3 years since his final 2 years with the Dodgers. And then who was he? I forget. Milwaukee, was that where he landed? I've lost track. The COVID year really messed me up. But what do you like here from the big boppers going against Heaney? He's someone that does have a little bit of a home run issue. His bigger problem is he doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, and the problem is his fly ball percentage, and this team, White Sox, right? So Tim Anderson, Yasmani Grandal, Abreu, Moncada, Louis Robert, Garcia. I think all these bats ISO is so good. So I'm little scary to play Heaney here. But of course, Heaney has like a good K rate, and he always has that upside where he can give you like 9 or 10 strikeouts. But maybe if I'm picking up either bats or Heaney, then probably I'll go with the White Sox bats here.
All right. I had to check. Yes, Yasmani Grandal did play 1 year with Milwaukee, And then last year was his first with the White Sox, of course, just 47 games in that abbreviated season. I was trying to remember, like, I remember him in Miller Park, I think, but I like to play a lot of Dodger stacks, so it could have been when he was there as a visitor. But there we go. So
I think White Sox going to be a very sneaky stack in GPPs. Probably people's going to be still going with the numbers of Heaney, but I think White Sox are very sneaky.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fair. Heaney is so. The Angels pitchers, they have quite a few that have been hurt recently, and they all are relatively decent from an efficiency standpoint, but they just can never stay healthy, and they break down quickly. And when they do, then they just have a few bad games, and then they're on the disabled list. Garrett Richards comes to mind, Andrew Heaney, and I'm missing a third guy there who is escaping me. But what happens is their efficiency numbers look really good. They just don't make more than 6 to 12 starts a year, and that's something that's very hard. And then each time they're coming back from, be it a Tommy John, a shoulder issue, a rotator cuff, ulnar issue, etc., and they're just lesser and lesser of what they were previously. Plus, they're another year or two older, and that's something where we haven't seen a lot of great Angels pitchers in quite some time. It just seems to be a run of bad luck amongst those guys. Let me see here.
But I think Abreu is the best bat, I think, in this White Sox team. He crushes both sinkers and the curveball, and Heaney throws like 43% of the sinkers and 41% of the curveball. So I think Abreu should be your top priority when you're stacking this team.
Excellent. All right. The next one, a couple of youngsters going in this one. We don't have much of a book on Christian Javier. He is going for Houston. They are in Oakland for game 2 of this series. 4.3 implied run total there for Oakland. Houston will be facing off lefty Jesus Luzardo. He is one of Oakland's better prospects. They have just a 3.8 implied run total. The one thing I do want to point out, it is going to be about 49 degrees at first pitch here in Oakland. There is no roof. Seattle's going to be about the same temperature. Seattle, a lot of the sites, they only worry about rainouts when you're looking at various starting lineups page, and they'll say roof is closed. That's a carport roof, just so you know. And I've lived there, and I've been to probably 50 Mariners games. It's cold there. It's very, very cold because it does nothing to stop the wind coming in off Puget Sound. So just keep that in mind. They're never going to have a rain out, but it's going to be cold and miserable. But I just wanted to point that out for some of our West Coast games here. What do you like with Luzardo here? I think he's going to be someone that may have a little bit of a buzz as one of the top prospects, does have some electric stuff. This is where we get to say, yeah, but he needs to learn how to pitch. All sorts of talent. Can he put it together, especially with the help of his catcher, pitch sequencing, etc.? But what do you like about Luzardo?
I think both of these pitchers have high strikeout upside in this game because if you see 2019 and 2020 numbers, Oakland, there are 7 bats who strike out more than 23%. And this Houston team probably are vulnerable to a couple of pitches which Luzardo is going to throw. So I think both pitchers are in play, especially for the high strikeout upside.
All right. Before we get to our last 2 games here, I want to remind everybody we got some good stuff coming up, but right now we've got some great stuff. We've got a giveaway over there on the Awesemo_COM Twitter handle. We just gave away 1 full year of awesome premium MLB. If you guys are not following the Awesemo_COM, the Awesemo NBA, the Awesemo NFL, the Awesemo MLB accounts, what are you doing? We're constantly doing giveaways, flash giveaways, all sorts of good stuff. Right now, we're giving away our first ever NBA Top Shot. This is on the Awesemo_.com handle. This is thanks to our guy News God. He is offering up one out of his portfolio of top shots. It's going to be Jonas Valanciunas. 1 lucky winner will receive that absolutely free. We'll transfer it over to you, and it will be yours. Go over to the Awesemo_COM account. Check out the pinned tweet. It will have all of the details. Basically, you're going to have to follow 2 accounts and reply to the question that's in the tweet, and you have a chance to win a top shot. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Go check that out. Okay, game 4 here. Arizona at San Diego. Now, we thought San Diego was going to be a good stack. Turns out they were. It just wasn't the guys on opening day that we fully expected to do the heavy lifting. So that's baseball, but we're going to be looking at them again. This time they're not going against a lefty. They will be going against righty Merrill Kelly, who has had a lot of issues with home run and spontaneous combustion on the mound. He is what we like to call a gas can in search of a match. San Diego has a 5.2 implied run total. It is going to be 69 degrees in San Diego because it is very nice there. Talk about Merrill Kelly. What would it take for you to put him on one of your rosters? He's not quite in the Senzatella category, but he's not. There's no upside, I don't think.
I don't think I'm going there. These Padres bats are good. They're really good. So I think if I'm not playing Dodgers stack tomorrow, I think the next best option for me is this San Diego team. And definitely I'm not playing any Kelly tomorrow.
All right, let's look here. I just want to see what we've got here for him. So of his last, he was relatively limited last year, so he didn't do a lot. But let's go look at his 2019-2020 season, get a little bit of runway here. So there he has just over 1,000 batters faced. Does okay against lefties, which is a little bit of a surprise. Oops, that's Bumgarner. Let me get back over to Kelly. I forgot that
he has decent strikeout against righties, but against lefties, he has 18% strikeout, and then he gives away like 44% hard contact to both the bats. Fly ball rate is bad against a righty, so definitely not going there.
Yep, and there's the isolated power I was expecting. It's against fellow righties, which is a little bit of a surprise. It's 211. And remember when we said on yesterday's show, we kind of look for that benchmark of 200. When you're 200 or higher, that's more of the elite power. That's where you're looking for. And it doesn't measure just home runs. Isolated power just measures extra base hits, essentially. Sure. It's a good indicator of power because, how do you get a double or a triple? Well, you hit it pretty hard. It may not make it out of the park, but it's going to go a long ways, or it's going to be a screaming line drive, etc. So that's kind of what we're trying to measure with that one. So when a pitcher is going to make everybody from one side of the plate, in this case, the same-handed hitters from the right side of the plate, look like elite every at bat. Those are the pitchers we want to avoid and the batters we want to take. Sure. On the other side, Blake Snell making his debut for the Padres. Hat tip to Dave Lochran. You know him better as Laffy_D over there on Twitter. He likes to call him the Snellevator. He has been doing that for years. But Blake Snell, fantastic strikeout rate. We saw last year because of the limited innings and just sort of the limited workload that Tampa Bay was utilizing him with. He wasn't always going more than the 5 innings, but he was still approaching double-digit strikeouts. He was getting 7, 8, 9, in some cases 10 or 11 in those games. That is the phenomenal upside. It's the currency of the realm here. What do you want to do with Blake Snell? We need to put away the Arizona offensive fireworks from day one and go back to him. But just how much back to him do you want to go?
Not to the Arizona bats, maybe, especially if you're playing cash games or the 20 max lineups. But in GPP, yeah, for sure. But I think the deadly changeups from Snell will be too hard for this Arizona bats to play. Like he's got like 24% of changeups for righties, and I don't see anyone in this team who can play those changeups. So I think I love Snell here. If I'm not playing Bar, then I'm definitely playing Snell.
All right, and this is one where I always say it. We're kind of on the late slate. This is just a 6-game slate. It is okay to play hitters against your pitchers. Now, here's why it's okay. One, if your pitcher is going to be someone that's going to give up a home run or two, maybe it goes to your guy. We don't want to stack against them if it's somebody that we're taking a lot of. But the other thing you want to remember is a lot of our pitchers, as we get through the weekend, we're going to be down to the guys that are probably only going to go 5 innings at best, and we're going to see more of the bullpen. That's other opportunities where maybe your guy gets in, survives, gets to your 12 or 15 DK points, and sneaks out of there. Doesn't get the win, doesn't get destroyed, and then the damage can be done against the bullpen. We see this all the time, especially in today's MLB. No lead is safe, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, you took 3 hitters against your pitcher, and you won a tournament? Well, it's because your pitcher got out of there with any damage, and then the bullpen gave it up to the other guys. So just remember, these are some of the quirks about baseball that we may have forgotten during the offseason here. Any of the hitters stand out for you as we wrap up our fifth game here?
So Blake Snell, as you said, like Blake Snell can give 1 or 2 home runs, and if he's giving away the home runs, I think it would be either to Ketel Marte or Escobar. Those are the 2 bats I'll pick from Diamondbacks. But from San Diego, I think I love 1 to 8. Anybody, you can just put it in your stack and you can play them.
All right, let's look at our final game. Near and dear to my heart, we have the Seattle Mariners hosting the San Francisco Giants. We, of course, are wrapping up our podcast just before that game is going to start. I'm going to stay up late and try to watch some of that because I grew up in the state of Washington, even though I'm out in Virginia now. I do like to see the Mariners. We have Johnny Cueto going against the Mariners on Friday night. Seattle has a 4.3 implied run total. Kikuchi, sorry. You say Kikuchi, I say Kikuchi. We have him with a 3.8 implied run total against the Giants. Kikuchi, a lefty. Mariners last year had basically 4 lefties in their rotation, caused them a lot of problems because they didn't really mix things up against different teams, and teams like Houston that just absolutely dominate lefties would just feast on them because they're seeing the same type of pitcher each day. Kikuchi tends to do a tiny bit worse against lefties than what we normally see from a southpaw. Gives a little bit of power up to each side of the plate. Nothing dramatic. Has reasonable strikeout numbers. And again, it's going to be a cooler day in T-Mobile Park. The other thing I want to point out before I turn it over to you, we did find out last year that MLB put one of the humidors into T-Mobile Park. Now, we of course know the humidors in Colorado. We know they had one in Arizona, and then unbeknownst to us, 3 or 4 other stadiums got them last year. But they got them for a different reason. So in the Seattle area, you're literally at sea level. You're right next to Puget Sound. It's not like East Coast humidity because it's not hot. It's just perpetually drizzly and rainy there all the time, which is why I no longer live there. But what that does is it tends to make the ball a little heavier. It's not like the ball is wet, but there's just more humidity in the air. So that tends to allow it to not go as far as we would see, what the humidifiers are doing or trying to suppress in Colorado and in Arizona. So what we're looking at here is perhaps we might see a little more liveliness from the baseballs in Seattle. We'll have to see. Again, only had 30 home games there last year, so we don't really have a lot of a track record, but it may not be quite the pitcher's park it was when it was known as Safeco Field. So I just want to point that out. What do you like from our final game here? We've got Johnny Cueto, we've got a bunch of no-name Mariners, and we've got Kikuchi. Here's our nightcap. What do you want to point out to our loyal listeners?
I'm not much interested in playing Kikuchi. Even in GDP, I may have like 5% or 6% exposure, not more than that. But I have a lot of interest in Johnny Cueto. The Seattle Mariners have a lot of strikeouts in them. Like I see like 2019-20 numbers, right? There's like 7 bats who strike out over 23%. So I think there are a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. So maybe I think I'll play Johnny Cueto quite a bit, but not much of Koichi from pitcher's perspective. But stacks, I think I like this Giants team as a stack. I think these stack can be another sneaky one. If you're playing GPP, I'll say probably have 7 to 8% exposure to the stack, and probably there's a chance that they can win your GPP.
Excellent. All right. Well, there we go. We've got a lot of content for you guys. Of course, this is the Awesemo First Look MLB. We, of course, have on the other side recording right now the NBA First Look, and then we're starting it all over again at 6:30 tomorrow morning. You got the NBA Process with Josh Engelman. At 10 o'clock, you got the NBA Strategy Show with Lofty and Josh. At 11 o'clock, we have the MLB Strategy Show. Making his debut will be Pete McCarthy. He will be joining Terry McBride. At 2 o'clock, we have the NFL Strategy Show with Jake Hari and Slim Cliffy. At 3 o'clock, premium only, we're going to be behind the paywall with Steve Buzzard, a.k.a. the Colts. I watched his show today. He was breaking down how to use all the different tools at Awesemo. That is a premium subscription utility that you can have. And it was very nice. People were asking him questions. He was doing screen shares and showing them how everything worked. It was pretty cool. 4 o'clock, we got the tip-off with Kayla and Spags and Ben Rasa. 5 o'clock, live before lock, MLB. So MLB we're doing earlier. That's the live before lock, even though lock is not until 7. That's going to be Eric Lindquist, and Gundacker will be making his Awesemo debut. 6 o'clock, deeper dive with Lofty and Adams. 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, deeper dive with Lofty and Adams. 7 o'clock, live before lock with Spags and Greg. And then we do it all over again on Saturday. So much content out here. We're happy to be welcoming so many new talented contributors. This is going to be a lot of fun. Follow us. What is your Twitter handle, Harish?
It's GOUDSAAB, Goudsab.
All right. So you've got Goudsab, and then you've got EMac DFS, and then, of course, Awesemo _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.